Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Welcome to the 2024 Michelin BASH. We are thrilled to see you all here. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kay Wagner. I am the chair of the board of directors as of January. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I live in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Yes, we do drive Corvettes in the Midwest, just not all year round. I'm also a member of the Sioux Falls Corvette Club, and if that sounds familiar to you at all, we are the sponsors of the Black Hills Corvette Classic. So if you ever get the chance, come out and visit us. We'd love to see you. I get the pleasure today of telling you a little bit about what the board and the staff have been doing to honor the job you've entrusted us with to be the stewards of this museum and of your trust in us as the members. So today we're going to talk a bit about some of the guiding principles that we use, our strategic plan that we've created. We're going to introduce you to some new faces because we have some new board members and some new staff, and I want to make sure that you get a chance to meet them. We're going to talk about some of the financials and give you a sneak peek for the annual report that will be coming out. We'll also talk about some of the capital expenditure projects that we've done in this past year and that are coming up over the next year, and highlight a lot of the great works that have been done in this past year, along with a little bit of discussion about future direction. So thank you again for joining us, and welcome to the membership meeting. Let's see if I can make the technology work. Okay, so starting in 2022, the board, along with our key leadership team, have done a couple of retreats where we looked at reevaluating and reaffirming our mission and our vision statements, along with our strategic objectives and what we use to guide us in our decisions that we make for the museum and for our members and donors and all of our guests. We identified 6 key strategic objectives, and I want to talk a little bit about those so that you can hear what we use as our true north, as I believe it's been described as from a previous chair. So first is AAM accreditation. This is the accreditation from the American Alliance of Museums. This is a best practices and guidelines that we use for everything from what type of education do we do, what type of facilities do we need. There's guidelines for the collection and what we need for storage and HVAC. And it's really just a way to make sure that we are following all the things that we need to do to be good stewards of the museum and the artifacts that we are entrusted with. 2 to 3 years ago, we had a site visit from this organization. They walked through all of the different things that we've already done and the things that we need to work on going forward. I'm very excited to say that we've made quite a bit of progress towards a lot of those things in that report. We do still have work to do, but this is what we're working towards long-term for that accreditation. Next, we have become a cherished community, and there's a typo, it should say cherished community asset. What we mean by that is not only for the community around us, Bowling Green and Warren County, and how we can partner with everyone that is both an attraction here and the people that live here, but also for being that cherished community asset for the Corvette community as a whole. We want this to be the place that people are proud to come and visit, proud to bring their friends to, and proud to talk about. So always trying to make sure that we're keeping that in mind with the decisions that we make. Grow and diversify earned and contributed revenue streams. We're looking for unique opportunities to encourage people to engage with the museum, leverage the attraction that we are along with the attractions in the area, look at ways we can combine working with MSP and NCMI along with the museum, and ways that we can find and engage with new donors that share our mission and our passion for this car and for this museum. Intentional collections growth. We have an amazing collection of cars and artifacts and stories that we want people to be able to hear and share. We need to make sure that we're doing the right thing with those artifacts. We also need to make sure that we are looking for anything that's missing to help tell our story. We have identified a list of cars and artifacts that we think are important to add to the collection, but we also want to make sure that we are careful that we can take care of any of those things that are entrusted with us, because we know they're very important to anyone that shares them with us. So an intentional growth in our collections. Target new generations of Corvette enthusiasts. All of these objectives are going to be important, and you're a big part of all of them, but this one especially stands out for me as something that we can all do. I think we all remember that first experience we had with a Corvette, or that first story of someone who showed their car to you or talked about their car with you. This is one of the ways that when someone approaches you and asks you about your car, it's a chance to talk about that thing that you love. And it's certainly one of my favorite things when someone comes and asks me about mine. This also reflects the education mission that we have, the education gallery, the field trips that we're doing, really trying to get those kids in early so that they have a great experience from the beginning, and this becomes that dream car that they want to be able to get. So looking at that new generation of Corvette enthusiasts. And last but not least, developing a master campus plan. What does our 5-year, our 10-year, our 30-year plan look like? That's everything from expansion and storage planning to looking at the land around us and how we can use that to imagine and dream for all the possibilities that the museum and this campus represent. So these are the guidelines that we use as we're making decisions, and hopefully you'll see as I talk about the things that we've done over the past year and the things that we're looking at doing going forward, you can see these objectives reflected in those. All right, so I would like to ask the board of directors that are here to stand up. They're at the front of the room. This is a great group of people who volunteer their time and their talents to help the museum and help me do my job. So thank you so much to all of them. And in particular, there's 3 new people that have joined the board as of January. First, sorry, forget the clicker. We'll talk about Mark Stilo first. He is the Director of Motorsports Competition Engineering at GM. He's a little bit busy, I think, at a race, so unfortunately Mark couldn't join us today. Then we have Tim McMichael. I'm gonna have Tim stand up. He is the President of Landscape Workshop Incorporated in Colorado. He and his family are donors and supporters of the museum, and he joined our Contributed Revenue Committee, which you'll see we talk about in just a little bit. And then we have Dan Costello. Dan is from Logan County. He is a superintendent of Logan County Schools and joined our Education Committee. So some new faces that have joined the board, sharing their time and talents with us. Okay, I know a lot of you have probably seen this, but just in case you don't remember, this is our organizational chart. At the top, we have the Museum Foundation, and that's what the board represents. From there, we have the National Corvette Museum side, or the nonprofit side. And on the other, we have the NCM Holdings, or the for-profit side. And under the holdings, you have NCM Insurance and the Motorsports Park. And you will see this when we look at the financials in a minute. They're divided basically exactly like this. You've got the nonprofit side and the for-profit side. Also, just to give you a little bit of a look at the work that we do on the board of directors, this is our committee structure. You can see at the top is myself, and then underneath that is the executive committee. So we have the immediate past chair, Kai Spandy, the secretary, Dale Ledbetter, treasurer Neil Watanabe, and chair-elect Michael Laraka, with the corresponding committees that we're in charge of. And then below that, excuse me, you can see the committees that we use to help inform how we help our staff. So each of the board members is on at least one of these committees. And then we get to partner with a member of the key leadership team and other staff to make sure that we are helping and guiding. But most of the time, they don't really need much from us. Our staff is so amazing. But it's a pleasure to get to work with them and get to know them better in areas that we have our own interests and passions about. Speaking of our amazing staff, there's a couple new faces there I'd like to introduce you to as well. I think some of you have maybe met Ryan. He's our new Director of Marketing and Communications. If you haven't met him, be sure you get a chance to say hello. You will, however, have to wait until another visit. Ryan got married this past weekend and is on his honeymoon. So when you do see him, be sure you tell him congratulations. He's doing a great job. He and his team are doing really amazing things with marketing, social media. Hopefully you're getting a chance to see all that. If you don't follow us on Facebook or Instagram, please do so, because there's great content that comes out very frequently from this group. And then we have Robert Maxheimer. He's the newest member of the staff. He joined us in January. He and his family moved here from California, if I'm remembering correctly. He is the Director of Curatorial Affairs, or Collections and Education. Really excited to see all the great things that Robert is doing, planning for curriculum, for the Education Gallery, for our field trips, some summer camps that are potentially coming out. So I'm going to ask Robert to stand up. He's at the back of the room there. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all of the amazing staff and volunteers that keep this place running. We truly could not do it without all of you, and my heartfelt thanks for all you do every day. A round of applause, please. Okay, we've talked a little bit about the staff, we've talked about the board. Let's talk about the financials. You're getting a little bit of a sneak peek at the annual report, which will be coming out, but this is some of the items that will be featured in the annual report. Just for orientation, the red colors represent the National Corvette Museum, or the nonprofit side. The gray represents the for-profit side, or the holdings company. You can see that this goes from 2021, 2022, and then to 2023. And if you look at those numbers, you see nice growth throughout each of the years for both the for-profit and the nonprofit side, as well as control of expenses to the best that we're possible to do. One of the things I will point out, if you see that there are asterisks at the bottom of the screen, the 2021 and 2022 numbers reflect our audited financial statements. 2023 does not yet represent the audited financial statements. Those will be coming out on our 990 form very shortly, and you can find them on guidestar.com if you want to look at those more closely. So let's break this down a little bit further. I'm looking at total revenue. Again, orientation to the slide. You can see we start with the 26%. That's retail, works its way around the circle. You can see that there's a nice variety of different ways that we are generating revenue for the museum and for our campus. Retail represents, for example, the store, the online store, car sales, that type of thing. Of course, raffle is another large area of revenue for us, along with admissions. If you look at all other, you can see the little asterisk there that just talks about sponsorships, investments, and interest income, so we need to include that to account for all of the overall revenue. And then all the way down to our food and beverage and facility rental. So you can see that our team is doing a great job of continuing to look for unique ways to generate revenue for the museum and be good stewards of the financial picture that we have. We'll break that down yet just a little bit further. So what we consider to be total earned revenue, so this is in exchange for goods or things you purchase, is what's mostly included in this category. Again, you can see that retail is a very large component of that, along with admissions and delivery, and going down from there. So thank you for all of you that purchase things in the store or purchase things online. Certainly come and visit the museum, as you're all a part of this. Of course, and anyone who takes delivery here, that's revenue generating for the museum as well. And then if you look at total contributed revenue, so these is mostly going to be raffle. That's of course a really large part of that. Again, thank you to everyone who buys raffle tickets. Probably the only downside to being on the board is you can't buy raffle tickets anymore, not eligible. So, but hopefully somebody gets a win when they're here today. It's always fun to see that happen with someone on site. And then of course donations, and again that reflects all of you and your generous support of the museum, along with memberships and tributes. Okay. As I've said, we're going to talk a little bit about the annual report. This will be coming out digitally not long after this meeting is done. You can look on the website and take a look at the annual report, and then it will be coming into your mailboxes for lifetime members and donors in the coming weeks. Some of the items that will be included in that annual report are the 2023 financials, which we just reviewed. You'll also see highlights of our membership, our donor recognition, and events and collections that we've done, along with new exhibits and lots more to read about. So please be sure you take a chance to check that out. Something else that I wanted to highlight that's being covered in the annual report is a community impact study that was done in 2022. What we're looking at there is how the museum has an effect on the Bowling Green and Warren County communities that we're a part of and that we serve. That report showed that in 1 year, in 2022, because of the museum being here, we were responsible for $85 million in additional revenue to the community around us because of money spent in hotels, in restaurants, buying gas, anything to do with coming to visit to the museum. So if you go again back to that strategic objectives that we talked about, being a cherished community asset, we clearly understand that we are affecting the community around us, and it's important that we keep that in mind. So be sure you take a chance to look at your annual report. Like I said, it will be out digitally in the very near future and then should be in your mailboxes in the coming weeks. Okay, we talked a bit about the money that we have. Let's talk a little bit about what we've done with some of that money. Our 2023 cap expenditures, some highlights of the things that we've done. If you look at Studio X, which is the picture down here on the bottom with the car in front of the wall of Corvettes, that's an area behind the McMichael Education Gallery that was decided to be utilized as a classroom space. We can bring a car in there, we can bring artifacts in there. It's a stand-up area that can be utilized to do STEM and STREAM education in ways that we can't do in other parts of the museum. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at that, be sure you take a peek. And a thank you to the ladies from the Elfie Silver Pearl Sisterhood who are part of supporting that Studio X along with the museum. We also did a reseal of the Sky Dome. We discovered that there was leaking going on in the area around our artifacts and around our Hall of Fame banners, so obviously that was something we needed to get corrected. Fortunately, our team found a way to do this where we could reseal without actually having to replace at a fraction of the cost of what replacement would have been. And you can see the picture on the screen for those of you who saw that iconic yellow Sky Dome was gray for a little while, but now it's back to its normal, beautiful yellow. And very happy to say that all the leaks have been controlled and we no longer have any issue with that. We had a redesign of CorvetteStore.com. I hope all of you have had a chance to look at the new website and interact with that and just see how much more user-friendly it is. We have a new platform that we're using that's been much easier to use and integrates better with everything in our technology system. We've had great response from folks that certainly appreciate the improvement in that site. And last but not least, has anyone seen the Skywall? So a few of you have. If you haven't, you absolutely need to go take a chance to go look at that. It's really amazing, the technology that's in there. These are huge screens that go around the Sky Dome. We can use them to tell our story with different exhibits, which the 70th anniversary exhibit is up for that. We can also use this as an opportunity if someone rents the Sky Dome for an event, that they can put messages or logos on that wall. So be sure you take a chance to go look at that. It's really impressive. So those are some of our highlights from 2023. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do for 2024. So some of the projects that we're looking at doing. We've improved the limited engagement gallery, done a limited engagement gallery renovation. That's the area behind the store that right now has the luster exhibit in it. There was a complete renovation of that, including new flooring, painting the walls and ceiling, and upgrading to exhibit grade lighting. Definitely an area that you want to take a look at. We're looking at purchasing exhibition grade casework. These are cases that we can use to protect and highlight our artifacts that we want people to be able to see, but aren't necessarily best to be exposed to the elements. So we'll be purchasing some of that. We've done a refresh on the preservation garage, really to help elevate it to the level of the rest of the galleries and also allow that space to be used as exhibition space. And then we've done a lot of work with the keyless access control. This allows us to provide 24-hour building security, decreases our exposure for folks that have lost their keys, and it is a component of that AAM accreditation. I also wanted to highlight our spring giving from 2023. For those of you that remember, this was the Fund a Field Trip experience. Through that giving campaign, we raised $21,292. We were able to service almost 900 students from Q2 of 2023 on, and they represent 5 separate communities. This group was also supported in part by the Elfie Silver Pearl Sisterhood. You can see these great pictures. I think these kids are having a blast. And you know, they say money doesn't buy happiness, but it can buy a Corvette, and that's basically the same thing. I think that little guy's face is a perfect example of what that means. But keep in mind, these are the kids that are probably getting a first experience with the Corvette and with the museum, and really looking at that goal towards creating that next generation of enthusiasts. Also, as part of the Fund a Field Trip, we were able to bring an entire elementary school from Warren County to the museum. We specifically picked a school that probably wouldn't have had the ability to come any other way. And I want to take the chance to show you the video of this school getting to hear that they were the school chosen to come for the field trip.
Fund a Field Trip is a program created within the National Corvette Museum that allows us to give the opportunity to schools or youth organizations that may not have the resources to take their students on field trips, but those funds allow us to bring those students on site and give them a fully encompassing educational experience here at the NCM.
Warren Elementary has about 721 students, and they come from all varieties of backgrounds. We have about 26 different languages spoken there at our school. So to be able to take 700 kids out to the Corvette Museum is just such a heartwarming thing for me. We actually kind of kept it as kind of a big surprise for everyone, all the staff. They were very excited about the whole school was going to get to go. So when the Corvettes pulled up out front that morning, all the students saw it as the buses pulled in. It was just a nice surprise for everyone. We've had a few groups that come through already, and they've really enjoyed just being here, seeing the cards, seeing how they're made, seeing the design, and then hopefully, just to see that this could be a potential career for them. With talks about engineering and also, hey, to be a Corvette designer at one time.
Donate to the Fund a Field Trip program by mailing in checks, calling us, or by visiting our website and clicking the support tab at the top of the page.
So what a great experience the kids had with that, and I think our staff enjoyed it probably as much as the kids, and it was definitely fun to hear about how well it had gone. So thank you to everyone that was involved with that. You can still fund the field trips, and even though that was last year's spring giving campaign, it's still an ongoing project that you can support. Other things that we're doing with our education mission, I wanted to highlight a little bit about the McMichael Family Education Gallery. This is the first year, we're coming up on the first complete year of having this great resource for the museum. This is the number of attendants just from Q1 of 2024. You can see we've got plenty of adults that like to come and visit. We're serving kids and groups of people as well. I do find it interesting that it has actually a larger number of adults that have enjoyed this. So if you haven't been in there, be sure you go check it out. Try your hand at designing your own Corvette. It's not as easy as it looks, but it's a lot of fun technology to get to play with and see what you might do in your car if you designed your own. Our education mission doesn't just cover elementary students and high school students. We also have started a new program in the last couple of years where we are looking at doing internships for college-age students. The first event was in 2023 where they had an internship fair at WKU. We got 8 new interns that have been part of this, working here at the museum for 2023-2024. We had a second internship fair for the upcoming year and connected with another local college, with 2 separate fairs actually. They interviewed over 100 students for 11 intern positions. This gives these students a chance to see what it's like to work in the museum industry, whether it's working with collections or HR or anything that the museum does here. And I know we've had great experiences for the students that have participated in that. So that was a lot of what we did with the 2023 Spring Giving and how we've used education from our objective. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do with 2024. Hopefully you got this letter in the mail in the last 2 to 3 weeks, and an email came out recently. We're looking at our Spring Giving campaign for 24 being the Capital Land Acquisition Campaign. When you're talking about the Master Campus Plan and what it looks like going forward, having land and controlling the land around us is a big part of that. You can see on here there's a green X or a check mark with a green circle around it. That's the property that we recently purchased. It's got the Blue Compass RV lot on it right now. That's a little over 8-acre area of land that we were able to purchase to help control the sight line for the museum eventually. And our campaign is really looking at helping us support the acquisition of this land. The RV company that's on there will remain on site until January of 26. But for right now, as of right now, this is the land that we own, and we continue to look for areas of land around us that we may potentially want to purchase, again, with that eye to the Master Campus Plan. Having access to the land like this that surround us gives us the space not only literally and figuratively to imagine whatever possibilities that we think that this campus could have. And then just to touch a little bit on the future of the NCM leadership. I know that you've seen me say before, if you've seen letters from me to say before, that transition in leadership can be a time of uncertainty, but it can also be an opportunity. We're taking this time to reaffirm our mission, and we want to hear from the people that we serve, meaning the members. Many of you have taken the opportunity to share your ideas with me already through emails or coming to talk to us. We want to encourage you to continue to do that. There's a couple different ways that you can do that. You can either do the email through the website, you can go click on our pictures on the website, or you can use the Contact Us form through the website. You can also come and find one of myself or one of the other board members if you'd like to chat with us. So that wraps up the things that I wanted to share with you. Wanted to remind you that we've got a couple great events coming up. One of the highlights will be that on tomorrow at 12 o'clock here in this room, we'll be announcing the Hall of Fame inductees. I had the pleasure of being part of informing the people that are being inducted, and I got to tell you, it's a lot of fun to get to do that, and you really want to hear the reactions of the folks that were given that great news. And also, of course, thank you for attending today, and we look forward to seeing you at the 30th Anniversary National Corvette Museum Caravan in August. Thank you.